My name is Naya and you're watching The Girl Random, and today we are actually reading a creepypasta from online. So I do not want any copyright for this, so if they tell me to take the video down, I will take it down. So this is my first time doing a creepypasta.
Nike, can you be quiet?
A little bit quieter?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my first time doing a creepypasta.
Can you say real quiet?
I'm putting my headphones in. Alright. Guys, I'll see you in a minute. Oh, okay. So, if you cannot hear me right now, I am talking through my what is it called, microphone on my headphones, so I would be louder. No, that's not why. Alright, so let's read The Last Man on Earth. I don't want to. We're reading The Last Man on Earth. So, humanity has been long destroyed, decimated by its own ego, the thirst for powerful, fueled by the ignorance of man. How pity for those who sought after authority and instead received the full force of the atom exploding in front of their very eyes, obliterating everything they know and love. How it disgusts me that monsters like those destroyed the only place where life resides, and instead of caring and nurturing, it rained hell upon our only paradise. Myself was one of the lucky ones, and my town was able to escape the corruption that fueled of the Third Great War between the nations. I reside in a small home in a great suburb of the now northwest United States, far away from those of destruction occurred in the areas like New York, now referred to as the graveyard, or south of here in the former California. It has been quite literally sunken into the ocean. My town was very small to being with, but once bombs dropped, our town grew into a minute sanctuary where only the residents knew of its existence. We have not been visited by any government since the nations declared war, and I don't presume we shall be unless they happen to stumble upon our dying city when trying to conquer the quest of the Pacific coast, or what's left of it at least. I, Jonathan Rostell III, am the only resident in the only less within a mile radius or so, and sometimes get visitors just passing through who stop, have a chat, or share stories of the challenges they faced. What fools they are. How big do they think their problems are? How important do they consider themselves compared to others? It may have been better if they died like the others, so citizens like myself wouldn't have to deal with their sorry lives. If they wanted a real challenge, try living my life. Once the bombs started dropping, I started to have a horrific nightmare when trying to sleep there. Where to have horrific nightmares when trying to sleep, where I would be visited by the beast who would kill any man who came close and would eventually kill me. Shell shocked. You can't see, my glasses fell. Shell shocked. Started dropping asleep where a visitor would kill. Came close, would kill me. Shell shocked, I would believe they called it in the earlier days, is what I was experiencing. However, these dreams transferred into reality, and soon I saw the beast in its full form in front of my very eyes. The sunken eyes, the jagged teeth filled with its blood-covered mouth, and pure white that covered the beast's skin shakes me to the very core whenever I happen upon it. The first time I saw it, I was walking down the hallway of my home, and then I saw it out of the corner of my eye, just stalking me through the window that peers out into the emptiness of the landscape. This happens very rarely now, but whenever I do happen to catch a glimpse of the beast, I fly into my bedroom and wait until I have regained bravery I once had in order to confront it. Unsurprisingly, I have yet to see it after I flee that the danged beast always keeping me awake at night, wondering if in that moment in it might be my last. I haven't slept well in days, and I think I'm running low on supplies. Maybe if a visitor happens to upon my house, I could barter with him such necessities. That freaking beast is at it again. I cannot deal with this haunting. The way it follows me around like a freaking child needed to be cared by its mother. I was visited by a man who went by the name of Christopher, who was in search of a small town near here. He did not seem like a friendly type, staring at me weirdly expression when he first saw me, but nothing less. I welcomed him into my home as an act of kindness for a rude individual. I presumed he had been so shocked at my cleanliness, and my general compassion for the strangers he must have taken in his hostility. He sat down at my table in the kitchen whilst I prepared a small rabbit for us both to share. He had then complained about a stench so vile he said he couldn't breathe properly, and I informed him of the tires near here that were burned daily in order to provide fuel for our town, uttering or expletive or two in response. How rude of such disgusting man to complain about his host when the latter is doing the best he can to please them. The dirt under his fingernails and bags under his eyes told me enough of his character. That he came from a settlement with no civilization in order that taught only to kill, live, and survive. I did not know this for a fact, and the only presumed is based off of meat and other people. You can deduce at things or two about strangers. I finished cooking the rabbit in my kitchen, and I steered the conversation towards the creature that I've seen many times before. I asked if he ever heard of such a creature before, and he only shook his head in response. Obviously, too committed to the rabbit I cooked to respond with a clear answer. Then I got up and grabbed a knife to cut my rabbit. When I turned around and noticed, the man was gone, like a snake that slithers back into the comfort night. I was livid. I knew the man was unkind, but to leave my food there without mentioning his departure made me enraged like never before. I stormed out the front door when I saw it. The creature looked exactly the same.
I have background music.
The creature looked exactly the same as many times before, only this time it was smiling. Not the kind of smile that would be expressed from one friend to another, but like that knowing something that I didn't know. The curve of his, I assumed it was a boy. Cheeks expressed its hollow cheekbones, protruding in like white ice caps in the Rocky Mountains. His skin was whiter than ever, but its face was especially pale. I only saw the visage for a moment, but the image will forever be ingrained into my head. Nothing has, and nothing ever will terrify me like that smirk he has, taunting me like a small child when he knows something I don't. After collecting myself for a moment, I raced to the front door to only find a bloodstain leading to the door, as if the man had crawled desperately in order to leave. It must have been Christopher's, as it wasn't there before he arrived. Why me? Why me? I shouted into nothingness. Why must you hunt me? A man who has done nothing wrong, unlike his brothers who have torn each other to shreds in a desperation for even just a glimpse of absolute power. No response. I've tried asking the many nomads since then had come across my home about this beast, but none have provided me with a solid answer. And just like Christopher, they all end up disappearing from my home without a single trace. Must killed by the beast. Until then, I must live every waking moment to the terrified move around my home. Too terrified to see the creature that induces fear into me like no other thing in my lifetime. Too terrified to doom visitors to the same fate Christopher had. I've been driven. Dude! That is super loud. Can you at least turn it down? Thank you. Sorry, guys.
I turned it down.
Can you give me a second real quick? Sorry, guys. Riley just won't stop messing with the keyboard. Anyway.
I'm not messing with you. I'm playing with you.
No, I'm messing with the keyboard. That thing is loud, guys, I know. Give me another second real quick. Alright, finally. I've been driven mad by this beast who has taken away any possibility of human interaction in this disputed wasteland. Those few moments I've had with others aren't enough to preserve my humanity, driving me to the point of considering to end it all. I can't take this anymore. The stench that Christopher mentioned has grown more and more with each passing day. I presume those people need a lot of power to survive. It's overwhelming. I can't take this crap hole any longer. I need a way out. A visitor knocks on my door. I hesitated to answering, knowing the poor man's fate. He pleads with me, telling me he's desperate for food and water and won't take much, only enough to survive. I consider myself in the man's shoes, and I find that we are one in the same. Desperate to find results. Desperate to survive the horrors of our environment. Shuffle to the door and open it to find a small man, covered in dirt and mud, skinny enough to pass through the eye of a needle. His blue eyes look up in awe. Surprised that I have answered his calls for help, I invite him inside and relentlessly thanks me for kindness. Finally, some appreciation. I show him to the kitchen, and he sits down quietly in his chair. I grabbed a squirrel I hunted the day before and sent it over the stovetop. He starts to talk to me, but I only nod or shake in response. I don't want to grow attached to this man before he leaves me. The rabbit finishes cooking, and I turn away from the man to pick up and start cutting it up. Turn back around, and my surprise, I find him still sitting there. My mouth gapes into awe. The man asks, "What's wrong?" I do not answer him, believing that it is only a matter of time before he is ushered away from my life. He continues to talk about his life before and after the bombs fell, describing his journey across the nation in order to reach for a sanctuary and his family. I slowly begin to realize that this must be the work of the creature, taunting me in a way to similar that smile not so long ago. I just nod and shake my head in response to the man's stories until I eventually can't take it anymore. I fall onto my knees. The man rushes to try to help me up. I start to bawl like a child and explain to the man how he's going to die soon if he doesn't leave. He's extremely confused, only focused on trying to help me. The poor soul. He doesn't know what's coming yet. I begin to calm down when I see it again. The freaking monstrosity only existing in the most horrifying plane of existence. Just staring back into my own eyes with... Okay. Thank you guys for watching, and please give a like and subscribe, and see ya!